So in case you were curious, sugar can really mess with people, especially people with chronic pain. Let's get into it. I didn't want to make this video, partially because Autumn has been kicking me up and down the street this week. I finally decided I'll fake it till I make it. I've had my Tylenol Advil combo and my heating pad is right here. So let's do this. I also didn't want to make the video because I love chocolate, and confronting how it impacts chronic pain means I'm going to have to do something about this. Looking back, I really developed my sweet tooth when I was about 12, when my depression started kicking in and my chronic pain was kicking up. Until then, yeah, I liked sweets, but I didn't crave them. They were like any treat, like getting my mom's mashed potatoes or goulash at dinner. It was something I liked. As my pain got worse, I started gravitating towards sweets more. Mostly with chocolate, but I switched from Diet Coke to Coke, then increased how much I drank as I got sicker. At one point, my dad, a pain management physician, talked to me and said, "You've really got to cut it out on the sugar. It's an inflammatory. You'd probably feel a lot better, and after a month, you'd see how you feel without it changing your system up." I flat out declined. Now, I was a very dutiful daughter, did as much as I could to avoid conflict, and I wanted to use this indispensable source of knowledge I had a phone call away. I knew I was lucky having a doctor that understands these things under the same roof, but taking away chocolate, the absolute horror. I said no, straight up. I was so depressed and felt so terrible. It was the only thing I had left that made me feel good. It might just be for a minute, but it was better than nothing. No, I wouldn't do it. And I've tried many techniques, medicines, and diets to see how they impact my body and pain. I've never gotten off of sugar. It would mean cutting out the obvious things like candy, Cokes, but soups at restaurants, processed foods like most breads, breaded chicken, most cereal, and even normal ketchup. It's a big commitment, and it takes so long for your body to kind of detox that it's not something you can accomplish quickly. But the upsides could rock. If my health continues to improve, I'd love to be a mother in the next few years. If I try that at my current weight, adding in my age at the time I get pregnant and my family history, I'm liable to experience gestational diabetes and have worse back pain, which will lead to less activity and probably more weight gain than is healthy. I want to be as healthy for myself and my family as I can be, but that means I have to get out of my comfort zone. Apparently, once people adapt to a lack of added sugars, they feel more energized because their body isn't constantly rocked by an introduction of quickly metabolized sugars, causing all kinds of chemical chaos. As someone with chronic fatigue, I'm only mildly hopeful it'll help, though. I'll be happy if it does, but so many things were supposed to make a difference. Losing weight, having surgery, being more active, reducing and getting off of pain meds, reducing my nerve pain meds, reducing anxiety meds, changing my diet to be healthier. Every time, no energy gains that were promised. Nada. It's been so frustrating. But I don't want learned helplessness to kick in. I don't want to not even try just because other attempts have failed. Maybe this is the thing, and I owe it to myself to find out. Then there's weight loss. I tried to lose weight with a variety of ways, and for some reason, it just doesn't work for me right now. Doctors did blood tests, and I'm fine. No thyroid issues, no hormonal issues, nothing. They put me on a calorie restriction diet to 1,200 calories a day, which is pretty dang low, and no weight loss. Adding activity, movement, not exercise, just movement, because exercise spikes cortisol, and that's less effective for weight loss unless you do a lot more of it than I'm capable of right now. Then I added in exercise anyway, and I tried that. Fasting too, sometimes for full days at a time. None of it has worked. It's like my body just wants to stay set on this number. It's home or something. So losing weight would be awesome. It's also total crap for your skin, apparently, too. There's a thing called glycation, like staycation, but way less fun. It results in free radicals damaging collagen and elastin, so fine lines and wrinkles get worse. Super. The resulting oxidative stress can cause or increase premature aging. Sugar is also an inflammatory, and it makes you puffier. If you become insulin resistant, you can have hyperpigmentation, and in some people with dark circles, like my natural ones, yikes, notice a reverse in how dark their circles are naturally after getting off sugar. It apparently makes things like rosacea worse too, so I'll personally see some lessening in the redness in my skin, specifically my cheeks. Then there's the acne of it all. There's a study that had adolescents drink sugary drinks and those who didn't. Sugar drinkers had significantly more accurate acne than others. Then there's the pièce de résistance, forgive me, John, pain reduction. Inflammation is totally normal, but just to a degree. If you get a splinter and the area is all red and puffy, high inflammation. If you hurt your knee and it swells up, also inflammation. The body's immune response increases blood flow to the area to get healing going. But that's acute inflammation that dies down as the cause is addressed. Chronic inflammation is less helpful. It can be a huge factor in achy joints and stiff muscles, and gastric problems, and even in things like diabetes and cancer. People with pain might notice inflammation with their pain the most, but it's impacting the whole body inside and out. For people who are taking opiates, they may feel more relief on the same amount of medication if they reduce or quit their sugar intake, added sugar intake. There's a recent study showing that people on a high sugar diet not having the same amount of relief on opiates as those on a low sugar diet. They start to crave more sugar while on opiates as well. There's overlap in how the medicines and sugar impact the brain. There's a deep-seated reason I was so adamant about defying my dad when I was on opiates. The sugar was interconnected with relief in my mind, but in reality, it was making my medication less effective. There are a lot of reasons that excess sugar is an enemy of health, and I'm finally on board with starting to address it. I'm not going to completely quit sugar overnight or even be very strict about it until after the holidays. But come January, I'm quitting all candy, Cokes, and as much processed food as possible. At first, I'll have a lot of fruit have a lot of natural sugars and give my brain that sugary goodness without it being the empty calorie and quick hit of refined sugar. Then I'll slowly try to have less of that as well. I'm hoping I can get to 2/3 or 3/4 reduction before I'm done with all this. The impacts of sugar on the body and on the bodies of people in pain specifically are many and usually detrimental. Being a patient and working in a clinic for so many years, even I wasn't aware at all of the scope of this topic. So I hope this video was insightful for you in some way, and whatever your relationship is with sugar and pain, I hope the video finds you with the least pain possible and the greatest quality of life you can have. Stay curious and make today great. Bye.